Libra, welcome to the Indigo Void. My name is Drew, and today I'll be doing a general reading just for you, along with the You Against the World spread, along with an Oracle card deck. This is my final sign for the week. Starting this weekend, I'll be doing 6 signs for each day, and I'll be publishing them all on Mondays. It's the best I can do. So let's get it out there. I did Taurus and other Venus house signs, the exaltation with Pisces during the week, so I just have you left today. So I get to pour all my energy and effort into you. Thanks so much for joining me. It's a pleasure to do these readings for you. I really enjoy it. And if you're like other signs and you're hearing sound issues with this, trust me, I ordered a microphone. Hopefully it comes in time. But I'm in California with the fires, experiencing lots of delays with the Postal Service. So things come early, sometimes they come late. And trust me, I can't wait to get out of this terrible sound quality. I really want to improve that. I myself view tarot readings, whatever, and terrible sound quality is something that definitely turns me off. So thank you for your patience. Okay. At the center we have the Four of Swords, crossed by the Empress. Above you is the Four of Wands, below you is the Sun, and your recent past is the Five of Cups. The near future is the Temperance card. Your advice is the Queen of Cups. How others see you is the Emperor. Your hopes and fears is the Two of Pentacles. And the outcome is the Knight of Swords. With the Four of Swords crossed by the Empress, it's clear that the position that you reach or you're currently experiencing right now is allowing you to have some mental rest. You know, sometimes being in your power and having that self-respect and authority and pampering yourself and putting yourself first and having the authority over what you do with your time, your actions, and investing within yourself, you know, really allows the mind to calm down. So I want to say it's a very good thing to see that you're able to take time to invest in your mental quiet place. If you're able to relax, if you're relaxing right now, listen to this video. It's just a sign that you're doing the right thing. You know, it takes that time to mentally detach. You know, interactive meditation. If you don't have a healthy practice already, develop the time to do so. But I can see here it's just relaxing and your mind is actually not racing. So it's nice to have this period of knowing that you put the right investment in your own self. And how could that not be healthy? I'm very happy to see that because other signs, they don't have a reading that starts off this good. You know, the lesson right here I want to say is build on top of this foundation you're currently setting for yourself. So it's very good to see the Four of Swords here because after making these tough decisions, you know, not giving to others around you to a certain extent and investing with ourselves, others around us that are negative vibrations will want to say that's selfish or like you might have that FOMO, that fear of missing out. But with the Four of Swords here, I can see that you can see the benefits of investing in yourself and putting yourself first and not following the trends of the crowd. You know, this could be detaching from social media. This could be, you know, just taking that time to find a private time for yourself and make sure that you're at the top of the pyramid when it comes to what you're going to invest in. So I can see the Empress, you know, not giving any excess emotions or giving anything with her own self-value or her own vault. You know, she gives the overflow, the excess. So if you have time to invest in others after you've invested in yourself, I would definitely recommend that. But as far as continuing this path of investing in yourself first, and this peace of mind is granted to you, it's a habit that you're actually going to benefit from if you maintain it for a long period of time. And I really don't get the vibration that you're going to feel the temptation to stop at any time soon. Because the Empress, you know, she's, you know, in control, and she has so much self-worth and self-respect, whatever. Once she usually gets set in her ways, it being corresponding to Taurus, is that once you're stuck in your ways, you're set in them. And if you can find something that works in this formula of success, then I don't see any reason for why you would have to alter that or break those habits. So very, very good. You should be very proud of yourself. Above you with the Four of Wands, we can see here that it's time to recognize. And the above position is what you can see clearly, you know, and the energy you're feeling of the current situation. It's okay to realize that you have lots of goals you want to put your mindset to, and you really want to achieve a lot more, but it's okay to take these times and realize, you know, what you have accomplished. These four wands letting you know that it's time to take time to recognize, sure, that you can conquer the world, but right now you've won, you know, a sense of peace. You know that you're capable of achieving a lot, and there's plenty more you can accomplish. But right now you should be feeling the ability to feel rewarded for investing your actions in the right stuff. It's really nice to see this card too in combination, because inside with below you is the sun, and the sun is typically the happiest card in the deck. I mean, I couldn't think of really a card happier as far as not having to learn the overall lesson, but just enjoy the awareness that has come from recognizing these patterns, these habits you've had to discover. And it could have been a very painful process, you know, often dealing with heartbreak, a disappointment, you know, really presses that reset button within us. But inside of you, I can see like this glowing light that attracts others that want to pull that away. You know, there's a lot of moss to the flame in our society and our lives around us, and they can get through us. You know, our blocks might come through for strangers and people we don't know, but oftentimes even family members or people that we invest in emotionally, you know, children, you know, spouses, people that are not able to replicate what you have to achieve success. They want to find a way to take it from you. And we all know the phrase misery loves company. So I can see here is that inside you have this guiding light of happiness and joy, and a lightness of spirit. And is very happy to see that card, because you're enjoying these small victories and successes. And you shouldn't, just because it's the Four of Wands and, you know, it's the battle and not the war you have victory over, I would really let you know that, you know, these small battles, you know, it ultimately will win you the war. You know, let's not forget, you know, the war of the Revolutionary War of Americas. You know, George Washington lost a majority of the battles, but ultimately he won the war because he had the moral high ground. And that's what I can call this reading so far, is you have the moral high ground in this current situation. And with recent past, we can see the Five of Cups here. And this is overall probably how you found what you discovered, you know, this nice habit of investing within yourself, is pretty much putting too much emphasis on a certain emotional attachment or situation. You know, losing something that was of value, and having to learn to take value and place value on something that doesn't have as much as quantity but as quality, and possibly having to deal with control issues. You know, making sure that you understand that, you know, others around you are not infallible. You know, and taking responsibility for yourself is the most important key here. And I can see you've learned that lesson, because through the Four of Swords and the Empress, whatever, it's having to, you know, that's often a lesson that's rewarded through failure. You know, and failure is our best teacher. I want to definitely emphasize on how powerful failure is, and don't be afraid to fail. And I can see that here is that something was super important on the outside that seemed to have higher value within than something else, and to have it just strictly taken away, and having to having to really focus on something that didn't have as much value, which is probably yourself. You know, being a Libra, you want to have balance in all situations. You're the house of open enemies, you know, friendship, relationships, you know, so I can definitely see if it's your sun, moon, or rising sign, I can see here that it takes a lot of you to realize that, you know, the relationship that is most important is the one with yourself. And then in your future, we can see the Temperance cards. We're taking what you know and you're investing into something else. You know, being alone and not having somebody to communicate with, or investing in others, and therefore you think if you invest in your environment, it will benefit you back again. I can see what used to be uncomfortable for you is now feeling more prosperous and enjoyable. You might have not been a type of person that enjoyed your alone time, or you had to constantly, you know, interact with others around you, or your energy was like, even if you don't want to admit it consciously, that you vibrated better. You had a good day if somebody told you were having a good day. You weren't able to place value on your own self, and you could kickstart your own motor in the morning. It's like needing coffee as soon as you wake up, and if you take away coffee, you begin to detox from caffeine, and you go through the headache process, and you go through the withdrawals, and eventually you overcome it. And one thing you realize is that maybe you really didn't need caffeine that much at all after dealing with the initial recovery. So it's nice to see an uncomfortable situation with Temperance here to be in something that's super valuable. I mean, this card's worth showing you is that it shows the angel here, and what she's doing is she's pouring a cup of water between a gold cup and a silver cup. And ultimately the gold cup is the one that that we value the most, and the silver cup is the one that we really don't recognize as being as important, but is still important and vital. And it's showing you that the emotions can flow from something that we hold, you know, very important to us, and that we can mainly focus on to the second place, you know, the second best. You know, it's still good, but it's not as important. It's not a crucial goal. And it also being, you know, the gold being the conscious mind and the silver being the subconscious. So this is like, you know, patterns, recognizing that our habits are just a collection of our thoughts, and you know, really getting into the key of the matter through symbolism here. And maybe the Five of Cups was a symbolic something, maybe not an actual situation, but it's something that got through the conscious mind and into your subconscious, that it, you know, brought apart these habits. So if you're not consciously aware of how you're you know, taking this time investing in yourself, when you're feeling almost like negative about it, or You wonder why you want to spend more time alone, or you feel like, you can't trust other people. The sun here is trying to bring you the awareness that it's actually a healthy habit, that maybe you just need a different perspective on what you're doing and how much it can benefit you in the long run. And it is, I wouldn't advise, this is a long-term strategy. I mean, we do want relationships. I mean, you being the ruler, the house ruler of relationships and open enemies, it is important for you to get back in that harmonizing energy. But if we, if you're not, if we, I say as all of us, because we all have our Libra energy somewhere on our charts, I want to say is that as a Libra, whatever you eventually want to get back to yourself is being able to be, that best friend. And I definitely want to say that Libras are some great people to communicate with, and they're the most, of all the air signs, they're the most easy to talk to, because to me they have that ruling sign of Venus behind them to make it more of a less cold, bitter experience, where it's more like a cool breeze than it is a freezing wind. And your advice is the Queen of Cups, and it's a stand tall on that emotional investment. Go within yourself, whatever, and make sure that the waters within you are flowing healthily and their filters are all checked. And I mean that almost like like a refrigerator's water filter. Change that filter out and allow it to process, because you want to have it flowing within you. The stagnant waters within us, our emotions, they stagnate. We can't get past a process or a situation or a feeling, that makes us, become stagnant and toxic, and ultimately it poisons us. So the Queen of Wands is able to invest in herself, or the Queen of Cups here, I'm sorry, I misspoke. The Queen of Cups here sits on her throne of her emotions, and she invests within herself, and she makes sure her feelings are the best. Even if she doesn't make the most popular decisions, or she can't be trusted by everybody else around her, she knows that at the end of the day, she's the one that's going to sleep in the bed she's made. So it's saying, make sure you definitely take advantage of the situation and realize that ultimately you're responsible for your emotions, and you can't really beat yourself up for putting yourself first. And it's just capitalizing on top of here. So keep doing what you're doing is what the Queen of Cups is saying to me. Keep doing what you're doing and build on top of it, and learn how to be change that habitual thought process of maybe what you were instructed by others, by a relationship, by your childhood, that it's more important to put others around you in first. Invest in yourself and let it flow out from in through out instead of out through in, because we can hold all kinds of biases, and we can be upset with people when they let us down and they don't want to give us back what we invested in them. So invest in yourself first and give out to others without expecting the need of having to have it returned, and we'll be so much more attractive that way in all aspects of our life. And how other people are seeing you is because of your thought process. This is the Emperor card, and how people are seeing you, and it's a position of power. And a lot of people don't want to admit that the Emperor has self-control. His wisdom in his old age, whatever, that allows him to keep and maintain that power, is the wisdom of constantly learning how to deal with it. He may be powerful, and he may become maybe look intimidating, but at the same time, the stillness of the mind and feeling comfortable in his authority and standing firm in his decisions and investing in himself ultimately was what led him to become the Emperor and maintain his power. And so people see you as somebody that's definitely, revolutionary, but also somebody that they wouldn't really want to take, a shit from, because maybe you have better finances than them, or you better have emotional health, or you have self-respect. Other people might be intimidated by that powerful position you carry because of the work you're putting into it and the experiences that you experience on the way to do it. I mean, to deal with the Five of Cups energy and to overcome it and to have such a positive energy, or these positive habits go through it, is super scary to some people that just are too afraid to learn a lesson from a situation. A lot of people out there would want to, practice escapism, or find ways to blame people or play the victim role. I can see here is that people are watching you overcome a difficult situation and really maintain your power. And to those that are unwilling and want to steal power, that are unworthy, are going to find you intimidating, and are going to try to justify why you should not have that position. And people around you that are able to respect people that overcome difficulties because they have the courage to take risk, and just because they're not forced to satisfy the will of others around them, and make sure that they know that being responsible for oneself and your reality around you is, a very selfish game, but ultimately helps society as a whole. If we were all able to learn that lesson, they're going to respect you, and they're going to want to ask you how you did it. And if anything, they know that where you're coming from is actually a position of power that's worthy of you being there. Investing with yourself, having self-respect, whatever, learning to celebrate the small things in your life, whatever, but also having that beacon of the sun there, and overcoming a relatable history, because we can relate to a series of Five of Cups in our life where something of value to us made us force us to invest in something that we thought was less valuable. They're going to respect you and admire you for being in that position of power, because you deserve it. The Two of Pentacles, and that's in your hopes and fears section. So it's like, what can I do now? Now that you've established this habit, I can see it's like, do I continue to stay where I'm at and find safety in these small victories of the Four of Wands? The Two of Pentacles is allowing you to realize, it's time for you to, and build upon this. Make a decision to, instill this habit, but find a way to apply it to the rest of your life in all aspects. It's important to not forget where you are right now, because I can see this is a very, this can be like the budding stage. The seed has potential, it has healthy soil. I can see it's like, it's waiting to become, it's waiting for the storm to rain upon it and the sunshine after it to really allow it to grow and become something firm. And I can see, what I would see here is that this is like a strong roots of a tree. This is like a very strong, healthy root system that allows the tree to maintain and keep its growth. And the Two of Pentacles is finding a way to keep this format, but also find a way to find growth from it. So eventually it's saying, don't stay in this energy of constantly investing in yourself to the point of your detriment. Don't allow it to become where it's the best way I realize to maintain this habit and having self-respect is by not investing in others and not having relationships and playing it safe and being a monk. The Two of Pentacles is saying, no, you're meant to benefit through this, but realize this is a reset button. This is the healthy habit to write down in a journal and come back to ground zero in case you've ever experienced the Five of Cups moment, because we will experience it again whether we like it or not. And you can't live your life avoiding this Five of Cups that you experience. It could have been so drastic where you might feel as if you would never want to experience it again, so therefore why would I ever want to change how I'm doing right now? Please, I implore you. The Two of Pentacles is saying it's the reset button for you to go back out there. Maybe you got knocked down, but you need to get back up, and you're doing it very healthily. People really want to see what you're going to do with this energy. They want to see how you're going to take the reset button and take this loss and turn it into a win. So the Emperor is able to do that and maintain his power. So show people how to do it. Show people that you know how to do. Admit that, go through a situation and come out on top and build upon it. And it's like, it almost reminds me of like a Wolverine situation. If you're familiar with the Marvel comic character Wolverine, he gets cut up, gashed, shot, and his wounds just close up and heal, and he gets right back into it. So that's what I can see here. And with the outcome being the Knight of Swords, it's like the thought process, like the quick action of taking of your thought process. It's like, how can I capitalize on this without thinking about the negatives? It's like, now with all this Empress energy and the Four of Swords and mental clarity and the support of others around you, as well as emotional healthiness within yourself being like, the part of the advice. And the Two of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords is telling me that you're trying to capitalize on how to invest and capitalize onto it. So I can see here that you're not going to stay in this energy forever as far as deciding this is the only way in that monk life. It's saying your mind is healthy now, and the Knight of Swords is racing to find a way to build upon and invest and capitalize on this new method of self-investment, self-respect, which is allowing you to actually spring forward. We often think that it's, if we're not doing anything with our time, if we're sitting here and meditating, if we're not taking time for self-care, that we're not doing anything of use and importance. Whereas if we just take the time to, it's like a slingshot. It's like when you pull it back and you release that negative force, whatever, when you pull back, when you let go and you launch, it actually springboards you further in progress than you would be if you kept on running when you're emotionally exhausted and tired. So I can see the Knight of Swords here is just saying, okay, I'm ready, set, go. And you have a game plan. It's a very good reading. Probably, I think, one of the best readings of the week. Very, very happy for Libras. I know a lot of amazing Libras in my life. Awesome people. My daughter's a Libra. She's awesome. Although bossy, but awesome. Alright, so now I'll be doing a you against the world spread. It's just 3 cards for you, 3 cards for the world with a mutual energy in between. Mutual energy. We have the mutual energy as the 8 of Cups. On your side, we have the Knight of Cups. On the world side, we have the Empress. On yours, we have the 8 of Swords. On the world's, we have the 3 of Wands. On yours, we have the 8 of Wands. And finally, for the world, we have the 3 of Pentacles. Okay, so this is ultimately investing your time. I'm sorry, if you're listening. The 8 of Pentacles here is at the mutual energy in between you and the world. So ultimately, what the world is asking for you to respond to and what you're giving to the world is the 8 of Pentacles, which is the card of what's called the Apprentice. And this is investing your time and efforts to manifest something of value, where it's not just raking leaves and doing minuscule waste of time work, where sure you can feel accomplished for getting things done, but it's not ultimately a value. is the difference between a job and a career, in a sense, where it's something that's going to build upon and make you well known, and ultimately it's your life's journey, your purpose on this planet, investing in something that's worth your time to study and to become better at, and ultimately will bring you recognition for your efforts in building so. Is becoming an expert in a field where you can revolutionize fields of all kinds. Doesn't really matter what you do for a living, but it's the more you invest in what you're experiencing, the value, or what you're meant to do on this planet, it's going to build upon, and it's almost like the more you invest in this, whatever, things will just line up in period. If you're doing a job simply for the money, it's not going to feel very fulfilling, and you won't be able to maintain. And circumstances will eventually come to you. Well, it'll become too much of a burden. So if you're feeling burdened by what you're doing right now for work, it's important to realize it's not about the check at the end of the work you're doing it for. Place value on how you spend your time, and therefore the money will come eventually. Have faith. And on your first card, we have the Knight of Cups, whereas the world is the Empress. And this, the Knight of Cups and the Empress energy is ultimately saying the world is letting you know that the self-worth and self-respect that we saw in the original reading, whatever, is readily available to you with slow, steady progress from the Knight of Cups, with that enthusiasm to stay on target. It's just letting you know that don't give up hope. Don't feel like you have to look back or have to carry a. If you're just letting your emotions stagnate, you're not willing to express and to emotionally invest in new opportunities without the optimism of failure. Understand there's going to be disappointments in life. That's just a key part of it. And ultimately, it's how the Empress will manifest through your energy. It's saying that the more you have that optimism of the Knight of Cups, of knowing that I'm going to keep on going on my horse, I'll go from town to town, spreading my emotional happiness, my joy, my ability to invest. The Empress is that ultimate form of self-respect, of knowing that you can carry the energy. The Knight of Cups in its negative form would be somebody that is bitter, and therefore they go by and poison others, or they have fake fronts. So don't be afraid to be the Knight of Cups that travels and has the ability to carry on, especially in its parts of emotional difficulty. Have that inspiration of your spirit, and therefore it says going to invest in your life's something that you'll be recognized for in the material plane. So go with enthusiasm and don't be afraid of failure, and you'll gain more self-respect through the Empress energy and self-worth, and eventually become of the Empress. Whereas the next card we see for yourself is the Eight of Swords, and on the world side we see the Two of Wands. And this is going back to it, is that mental paralyzation through the Eight of Swords is ultimately the only thing hindering you from discovering this, this Apprentice energy with the Eight of Pentacles. And the Two of Wands here is saying, make a decision here, because we can see in the traditional tarot, it's a gentleman holding, he has a wand established behind him, which is what he knows how to do. He has the drive, the energy to maintain. But also, too, what he's holding and focusing on is a globe along with the wand. So he's trying to take action, exploring something that's unknown to him. Everything around his immediate area is already analyzed and actualized. He understands exactly what's there for him. So what we're looking for is, we're looking through the Eight of Swords to get out of that mental paralyzation of, I can't. If somebody around you is telling you something, or your own self-talk is not very charitable, if you're saying, well, I just need this money, I don't have the opportunity, or I'm behind on these bills, or I don't know how I'm going to pay for this, or what if I lose my job, or this is the best I'm going to get, or how do I reach these clients, or what if they don't come, what if they don't think I'm valuable? It's just saying get out of that way, because ultimately it doesn't matter how many times I would say something nice to you or say how good you're at something or whatever. It's going to take your actions to really explore these opportunities, these new ideas within your mind, or just be inspired, look for inspiration. Take some time out of every day, and then especially when you wake up or when you go to bed, something that might inspire. If you're just working in a grocery store right now, which I think is very crucial, thank you so much for doing that. But if you're not, or any kind of field that where you're just there for the check, you hate what you do, going to work is a drag, the only way you're going to find relief to that and find what to invest your time into master that will ultimately free you from that, is this Two of Wands energy. And imagine the vice versa, where it's, you spend your time and you forget that you're even spending your time. I often myself, when I had to clock into a job, I thought that, the lights on the property were powered by like my soul. I actually felt crushed, having to clock in and clock out. And it's not that I didn't enjoy, the process, but the process was just robbed of me, because it was robbing me of, my true potential, what I really wanted to do, and I was so focused on the outcome rather than the process of achieving. That's just such a non-spiritual concept, and a human experience right there, is realizing that you're going to experience pressure, especially that Saturnian energy will crush you and grind you through tradition to help you recognize, your value and time to mature. So if you're worried about having this mental prison of how, if you're stuck, whether it's dealing with finances, any matter, or how you're going to find the opportunity to add the addition of studying, or finding education or finding inspiration. You're going to be stuck until you start finding times and saving money where you can afford to take a day off to take a class, or it's going to find a way saying maybe I should cut back, or maybe I need to find a roommate. These are just examples in general nature, but it's time to branch out. The world is asking you, please, find inspiration and find a passion, find something new to invest in, and get out of your mental prison that you're suffering from. Right here, and the final card we have for yourself is the Eight of Wands, and for the world we have the Three of Pentacles. The Eight of Wands here is just letting me know clearly that you desire, you have a lot of drive within you, and the only thing that's stopping you is that mind, because the optimism of the Knight of Cups is almost waiting to meet somebody out there, not like as far as a romantic situation goes entirely, but what I can see is that it's letting you know that you need to not allow your mind to tell you how it's going to end badly from the get-go. And as much as you can be surprised and you can bring emotional investment to the right opportunity, it's almost like meeting it romantically halfway. I can see kind of like a romantic comedy, a rom-com situation where you're looking for your destiny to almost like interact with you. You're walking down the street, and then you bump into somebody after you leave a coffee shop, and they bump into you, and you both spill coffee on each other, and it gives you the opportunity to glance at each other just one extra minute than you would anybody else in the street. And that you want the person to apologize for you, and they laugh, and you say, oh well, that person's kind of cute, and that person always thinks about you, and somehow you guys exchange phone numbers, or you start running each other more often. Where the Eight of Wands here is that you're drastically waiting for the clarity of the clarity of your mind. The Eight of Swords and the Eight of Wands is saying that you're waiting to take action because you have this deep drive within you. You know exactly what you're capable of here. Previously we saw the Empress energy with that quiet mind. You know that as soon as you see the green light, you're going to go full force, but you don't have the clarity, you don't have that green light. It's almost like being colorblind, and you're afraid to go when, during a red light and you get hit by traffic. Get out of this paralysis, find a way to deal with that color blindness and realize that the light is green. As soon as you start looking